We're going to be hearing from someone who is a total subject matter expert on this topic, Tim O'Brien, who's the founder and CEO of Raffle. So yeah, thank you for coming along to Tim today and sharing your wisdom. And yeah, if you'd like to take the stage, please.
Thank you, Tristram, and thank you everyone for being here. It's just a great opportunity to have a chat. And I have to say, for Tim, hearing that there is a free security review available for not-for-profits is absolutely brilliant. And we'll certainly be mentioning that to all of our clients, which are, of course, not-for-profits. Okay, so can I just get a little show of hands? I mean, who here is well and truly familiar with raffle-based fundraising? All right, I'm hoping that some things have changed maybe over the last few years. We might have something there to introduce that you may not have sort of thought about or considered. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up a presentation. Is that okay there, Tristan, if I just try and share my screen?
Yes, please.
Okay, how are we going there? Have we got the big green screen up there?
We have.
All righty. Okay, my name's Tim O'Brien. I'm the founder and CEO of Raffle. Raffle has been running since about 2017. And really, I reckon my job in this session is just to give you a short, sharp overview of what raffle-based fundraising looks like in 2021 and, of course, going forward 2022. So I guess when we think about fundraising, why should a not-for-profit consider raffle-based fundraising? And I reckon it's one of those go-to fundraising levers. It's such a well understood concept for both the fundraising entity, the not-for-profit, and also the supporter, the person who's going to buy the tickets. I'm also going to go as far as to say that I reckon it's much loved entertainment, particularly in an event context. Okay, we know the charity events, we expect there to be a raffle. School fetes, raffles, absolutely. Sporting clubs, they'll run raffles, community groups, scout groups, etc. And even the big community clubs, they love their raffles, okay? It's such a well understood concept. So really, I guess one of the things that I want to talk about is how in recent years, technology has changed the way that raffles can be run. Because now, of course, we are moving fair and square into an era of digital raffles. So what's a digital raffle? And why a digital raffle? Well, a digital raffle really does away with paper tickets, and it brings the entire transaction and management of the raffle into an online environment. What does it mean? Well, it means that you can extend your reach. You're not just bound by that local community where you would sell your tickets. You can extend your reach just by virtue of EDMs and SMS and the like, social media, of course. Of course, in an online environment, you can see your sales data in real time. You know exactly where you are at and you can take action accordingly. It also means it improves accountability. You know who sold the tickets, you know how many tickets have been sold. You're not at all chasing paper books and ticket stubs and wondering whether all the tickets are in the drawer. And of course, what we're trying to do with the digital raffle concept is improve the bottom line. Because running a raffle is just like any other business activity. You need to make a profit. Just like business, it's really simple. Ticket sales minus expenses equals the profit. I'm going to just give you a little case study as an example, and this is about just setting some expectations. Imagine in our not-for-profit we have a $10,000 prize pool. What would we be trying to do? What would our profit and loss, what would our budget look like? I'm just going to just put one up. I'm going to mock this up. This isn't actually very far from reality. The first thing first, $10,000 in prizes. I reckon we could set a target of 50,000 in ticket sales. Now, why would I set that target? The simple fact is, in Queensland, that's all you're allowed to raise if you've got a $10,000 prize pool. The most you can raise is 5 times the prize pool. So 10,000 in prizes. Then I've got to think about, well, look, there's some other expenses in there. You know, we're going to have to pay for some technology. We may have to pay for some clients, compliance, maybe some auditing, depending on where we're at. Certainly some admin, just to pull it all together. From a marketing perspective, we may have to pay for some advertising. Social media advertising is not cheap. We may have to pay for other types of promotion. We might have to pay someone just to put together the social media campaign. So, you know, we're going to allow quite a bit to make the money. The cost of goods is going to be up there. So in that scenario, I've suggested, look, expenses are 30,000. We've sold 50,000 in tickets. We've made a $20,000 profit. Now, I'm just wondering whether that is freaking anyone out. Whether that sort of profit margin, I can't quite see everyone here, but that is the reality. That's about where a lot of raffles end up. Okay. Let's just move on to the rules of raffle. I kind of touched on one there. And this is where a lot of not-for-profits who are new to raffle-based fundraising just come unstuck a little bit. They're not quite sure of the rules. We have to remember that raffles are regulated. They are considered community gaming. More importantly, in a digital raffle concept where we can sell anywhere really, we have to remember that each state and territory has its own rules. We see this a lot. A not-for-profit comes to us and says, oh, we're based in Queensland, so we just have to worry about the Queensland rules. Well, no. In fact, if you sell tickets in Victoria, you have to worry about the Victorian rules. And their rules are quite different to the Queensland rules. So we need to be aware of those rules. And the regulations, the rules, if you like, they typically revolve around these main areas. Firstly, how big's your prize pool? Secondly, how much are you trying to raise? What's your ticket? And that often leads into what your ticket pricing and the number of tickets available, configuration. And then the final one, of course, is the type of prize. And in certain states, certain types of prizes aren't allowed, or they have a limit. For example, in Queensland, if you want to offer alcohol, for example, 10 consecutive vintages of Penfolds Grange, you can't, because the maximum you can do is $1,000 as an alcohol, as a prize for a raffle. Key takeaway there, if you want to sell tickets in a particular state, you need to learn the rules. Okay. Next thing we're going to look at is the different type of models that a not-for-profit might consider or might encounter, I should say, in terms of running a raffle. So let's look at the first one. The first one's the most obvious. It's the do-it-yourself model. You will source the prizes, you will source the technology, you will navigate the regulations, you will develop and execute the marketing and communications plan, and you will just do it end-to-end, taking care of every aspect of the raffle. Most of our clients that run raffles on the Raffletix platform, this is the scenario. Anyone who's run a charity, been involved in a charity, knows a very other common type of model, and that is the supporter-driven model. And that is where a supporter comes and says, look, we love what you do, we love your business, we love your cause, we want to raise funds for you. Key takeaway here is they're bound by the same rules as the charity and any other not-for-profit. So this is a management scenario where the not-for-profit needs to manage that supporter. And of course, the supporter needs to have a letter of authority from the charity. They must abide by the regulations. There's a rule in most states which says that supporter must deliver at least 30 to 40, I think it depends on the type of raffle and depends on the state, 30 to 40% of gross ticket sales must end up with the beneficiary, the charity, if you like. Of course, in this scenario, the supporter takes the risk. I'm going to tell you about this one here. This was a wonderful furniture maker in the Byron Bay area. He put up one of his custom pieces. He was the prize supplier. This is almost the best case scenario. He was the prize supplier. He had a huge audience, a huge social media audience. The other scenario is he might, this sort of person, this type of supporter may run a large event. But in this case, this particular supporter who was putting up this beautiful piece of furniture to raffle, he had a very large social media audience, and that was a very successful raffle. The next type of raffle, of course, is where a charity, for example, might simply outsource the whole lot to a marketing company. And this is where, if you like, it's a raffle as a service. The charity, the beneficiary, will still need to lodge the permits. In this scenario, a minimum of 30%. This is typically a major raffle, a large-scale raffle. A minimum of 30% of gross ticket sales must go to the beneficiary. That's actually a law, that's a regulation in New South Wales, and that kind of drives a lot of the other states. Of course, this scenario requires commercial agreements. The absolute best scenario in this sort of model is that the marketing company is unbelievably good at digital marketing and has a large audience. Okay. One last model I want to talk about, because I think this has got enormous legs. This is what I call a group raffle. This one here is the Toyota Good for Footy raffle you can see on the screen. This is a scenario where there's one raffle and loads of beneficiaries. Loads of football clubs in this case were acting as sales agents. They were selling tickets in the raffle. Now, what was special about this type of raffle is that the sponsor, which in this case happened to be Toyota, they put up 3 cars. Look, there was a whole bunch of other prizes, probably about $180,000 worth of prizes that they put up. And what it meant was that around about 500 local footy clubs were able to go out and promote this raffle, sell tickets in this raffle. They were able to leverage their member databases, their email, their SMS, their social media to their fans and to their supporters and just members, the players, etc. And they sold that raffle out about a week before time at 5 times the prize pool. Now, we've subsequently seen other scenarios where Scouts Victoria has done the same sort of thing for about 400 scout groups in Victoria and New South Wales. There's a real potential with this type of model for any sector, if you like, any industry that has, or association that has a lot of member clubs or member organisations under it. Okay, I'm going to give you a super quick overview, I guess, of what does it take to promote a raffle. I mentioned that 5 times prize pool, Toyota Good for Footy raffle, $180,000 worth of prizes, $900,000 raised. It's achievable, but it's difficult. Most of the raffles that we see, I reckon, are 3 times prize pools good going. A 30 to 40% profit margin, 40%, that's probably good going. You just have to be realistic. The number one thing I'm saying to any not-for-profit is focus on your mailing lists. Okay, focus on your direct email and SMS lists. Your CRM system, what's in those systems is gold. Social media, organic social media is really important, an important touch point from a raffle perspective. You do require a large audience for it to be effective and to get that organic sharing happening. I'm going to have to tell you, everyone here, this is a reality check. Social media advertising is troublesome. Okay, it is fraught. We're seeing that it's becoming increasingly ineffective for this sector. We know that Google advertising is ineffective, and we've known that for a while. And it all comes back to having those mailing lists where you have the direct connection with the end user, when I say end user, with the supporter. Okay, last couple of thoughts. And I'm going to leave you with these thoughts. If you have a plan to do raffle-based fundraising, give yourself enough time to plan the campaign and to get it right, and to think about the ins and outs and the realities, and give yourself enough time to conduct the campaign. Even if it's an event-based raffle, a big charity ball or something like that, give yourself enough time in the lead up to sell tickets to make sure you've got a nice base of sales before you actually get there. Also, people will know that it's on. Okay, so always give yourself enough time, and we notice that people do, I guess, underestimate the time needed. Okay, thank you all. I just wanted to give you that that overview of the sort of the raffle landscape. I really appreciate you. I'm going to stop sharing. And of course, I'm not sure what the next process there is, Tristram, but I'm happy to take questions, or if we do that in a breakout room, that's completely up to you.